What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Pack-A-Day podcast. I'm your host, Andy Herman. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Herman NFL. Today has the potential to be one of the great days in Wisconsin sports history. Bucks, Game 6, up 3-2, playing at the Pfizer Forum. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and this Bucks team has the ability to bring a championship to the state of Wisconsin. And obviously, anytime that's the case, it has the opportunity to be a very special day. Now, I get and realize that this is not a Wisconsin sports podcast. It's not a Bucks podcast, but it is semi-related, of course, to Aaron Rodgers, since he is, in fact, a part owner of the team. And also, it just is a big deal in the state of Wisconsin, period. And we see this connection and this interconnection between Wisconsin sports teams, right? Za'Darius Smith and Aaron Jones and David Bakhtiari and numerous Packers, Kenny Clark, have attended Bucks games during this playoff series, with obviously Bakhtiari being a key figure. We've seen Christian Yelich at Bucks playoff games in the past, and it sounds like there's a chance he may be at Game 6 in Milwaukee. So these teams, whether you're a fan of them or not, are still interconnected by the state of Wisconsin. And frankly, Brewers, Bucks, Packers, these three professional franchises are 2 hours away from one another, hour and a half, depending on how far you drive and where you're located in Green Bay and Milwaukee. And this is a state that really focuses on all three of these teams, as well as the Wisconsin Badgers, in a variety of different ways. And again, there's a connected tissue there in the fabric of the state of Wisconsin sports. So this has the ability to be a very special day when you consider that for many Packer fans, but of course for those who are fans of sports in the state of Wisconsin. It also just happens to be the opportunity for Aaron Rodgers to win his second championship. I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but of course he's got his first as quarterback of the Packers. This could be his second as part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. But this is not a day about Aaron Rodgers. And I'll get into that more in a moment. But this is a day that is about, hopefully, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Coach Bud, Pat Connaughton, PJ Tucker, Brooke Lopez. The list goes on and on. This is a story about the Milwaukee Bucks and their fans and that team and what they've done to get to this point. Now, job not done, job not finished. There's still a game to go. They still have a game to win. And it's certainly not going to be easy against Phoenix. But this is a story about them. And while Aaron Rodgers is part owner of this team and intertwined in this entire story, again, it is not a story that is about Aaron Rodgers. So why am I talking about him today? And again, this is a Milwaukee Bucks story. This is a Packers podcast, but it has been talked about recently. And again, as a Packers podcast, I feel like I somewhat need to relate this to the Green Bay Packers. And the overarching story as of late, if you haven't been paying attention, is Rodgers going to be at Game 6? And some even calling for and saying, why isn't Rodgers going to be at Game 6? And I'll go on record as saying, and maybe by the time you're listening to this, other things have come out and maybe he is going. As I'm recording this, I would be beyond shocked if Aaron Rodgers is at Game 6. And as I'll get to in a moment, that is 1,000,000% the right decision by Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers, by attending the game with all that's gone on this offseason, becomes a huge chunk of the story by attending the game, no matter what he does. Now, before I get there, I get that there are some very polarizing thoughts on Aaron Rodgers right now. But I want to take a moment to separate a couple things. What's going on with Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers is business. You may not like that. You may not like the fact that Aaron Rodgers is under contract and we don't know that if he's going to report to the team or not. That's all fine and well, but this is a business issue between Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers. And obviously it's a personal issue as well. It's not just dollars and cents business, but it is a in the realm of a business issue between the two. And again, even if it's personal, I'm not necessarily saying that couldn't be the case, but like this is something that needs to get figured out between Aaron Rodgers. It's family business, if you will. That, and I know so many people don't like to separate things. It's got to be black or white. It can never be gray. But that issue between the Green Bay Packers has absolutely nothing to do with how Aaron Rodgers has treated the state of Wisconsin and the sports teams in the state of Wisconsin. If you remember, he had a great relationship with the Milwaukee Brewers. He did commercials. He had the relationship with Ryan Braun. They did the restaurant together. Unfortunately, Braun lied to Rodgers, and the friendship fell apart, and it just created a divide while Braun was there between Rodgers and the Packers. Seemingly, obviously I'm not there, but it's to no fault of Aaron Rodgers. It was more of a Ryan Braun issue, but was massively supportive of the Milwaukee Brewers when things started off. And again, initially formed that great, relationship and friendship with Ryan Braun before things went sour due to Braun's, steroid and PED use and things like that. Then, he goes to, all the Badger basketball games during their big run, is a big Badger basketball fan, sits with Andy North, who can forget the belt with Zach Showalter during the tournament run. Awesome stuff. He's been super supportive of UWGB women's basketball. He's been obviously a part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks and invested in the Milwaukee Bucks. And then, of course, has done great things for Packer fans. He has done a ton of work in Wisconsin and in the community of Green Bay. He has done nothing but buy in to the state of Wisconsin, into Wisconsin sports, into being a Wisconsin citizen, if you will. Like he was all in, and I think still is all in on the state of Wisconsin as his home, and he has done nothing but support those teams. So while this issue with the Packers is going on, and it's a family issue and it needs to get sorted out in one way, shape, or form, it doesn't take away from anything else. It's not like all of a sudden he has a falling out with the Packers and, ends up playing for another team, and all of a sudden he hates the Bucks and he hates everyone in Wisconsin, and he hates, that's just not the case. They're two totally separate things. And I can promise you, Rodgers' issues, whatever they are not with the fans in Green Bay, are not with the Milwaukee Bucks, are not with the Brewers, are not with the UWGB women's basketball team. It's just with the Packers, and that has to get resolved. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, but they're two totally different things. But all of that being said, it makes zero sense for Aaron Rodgers to show up at Game 6 and become the story. Because even if the Bucks go and win a championship on Tuesday, if Rodgers is sitting courtside, no matter what he does, that becomes a huge piece of tomorrow's story, or of Tuesday's story as you're listening to this. That takes away from everything that Giannis and Chris and Drew and that entire franchise has worked towards. This could be the crowning moment in Milwaukee since the 70s. And if Aaron Rodgers is even 5% of that story, which I guarantee you he would be more, that's doing a disservice to that entire franchise. And I can promise you that Aaron Rodgers has no desire to do that whatsoever. He has been nothing but supportive of that team. He cares about that team. He cares about those players. He cares about their legacy. And him stealing that spotlight does no good to anyone. And you might say, you know what? Well, what if he sits on the sidelines and then, to get the crowd fired up, he says something like, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Sure as heck gets the crowd fired up. But again, what's the top story on ESPN the next morning? Is it that the Bucks won the championship? Knock on wood, all things going according to plan. Or is it that Rodgers is returning to the Green Bay Packers? Probably, maybe 50-50. Maybe Rodgers, maybe Bucks. But it takes away from the glitz and glamour of what just happened in Milwaukee. And he knows that. He would be a major piece of the story. And if he's sitting there and he doesn't interact or doesn't do anything, well, then he's just a distraction, or he's just, whatever. He's just trying to steal some of the spotlight. Some people may forget that when he went to the Badger games to support the Badgers, he was accused. This is when obviously everything was great with the Packers. This is when he was in the prime of his career, and everyone obviously loved Aaron Rodgers. He was accused of stealing the spotlight from the Badgers team by. There were people out there that was like, that was a story at the time that Rodgers was just trying to steal the spotlight from the Badgers. He was just sitting in the crowd being a fan, supporting the team. The team loved it. Decker loved it. Showalter loved it. But he was accused of trying to steal the spotlight. There would be a huge contingent of fans that would say, if he's sitting there in the front row, Bucks game 6, that he's trying to steal the spotlight from a Bucks team that really deserves 100% of the spotlight. So whether he would show up and say something, say nothing, just sit there, cheer them on, whatever it would be, it becomes a story, it becomes a distraction, it becomes whatever. And again, I guarantee you that that's not what Rodgers would want to do to the Bucks, to those players, to Giannis specifically, in what could be his crowning day as one of the all-time great NBA players, Finals MVP, winning a championship. Again, knock on wood for all of this, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it would happen, again, Rodgers would be a huge part of that story. So I don't think there's any way that he shows up. And if you put yourself in Aaron Rodgers' shoes, I can't imagine a way where you would want to show up and take that shine off of what's going on in Milwaukee. All of that put to the side. And that I'm just going to say that that's why Rodgers isn't there. It's not because he's being selfish. It's not because, he's broken up with the state of Wisconsin. It's not because he doesn't necessarily want to address the issue. He knows. Feel whatever way you want about Aaron Rodgers. Totally fine. I get it. I guarantee you he is doing this and not showing up, at least in part, because he would be the story and he doesn't want to do that. I guarantee you that. 1,000,000% guarantee it. This has the potential, as I mentioned at the onset, to be an all-time great day in Wisconsin sports. It is a day to be celebrated. It is a day to be just in the moment, absolutely in the moment. And I'm just beaming thinking about it. And again, it could go any way, right? Could be win, could be loss, could go to game 7 in Phoenix, could be a win or a loss there. As Wisconsin sports fans, I think we're very accustomed to, expecting the worst while hoping for the best. But enjoy this moment, whatever happens, because these type of moments just don't come along very often. If you're a Bucks fan, I know I certainly will be. Again, it has the opportunity to be such a special day. I'm hoping that it is. I think Wisconsin sports is due for one of those absolute amazing moments, and the hope is that this Bucks team and Giannis and Chris and Drew and everyone else is going to be able to deliver on it. And I'll be here tomorrow, probably breaking the Pack a Day podcast, and we might have to do a Bucks a Day podcast. So yeah, that's where I want to leave things. Again, don't mean this to be anything other than I wanted to explain why I think it makes sense that Aaron isn't involved in this process, isn't at game 6, because, in all fairness to Aaron, he doesn't deserve to have to even be talked about in that way. It's just supposed to be a fun day for Wisconsin, and I think that's what it's going to be. Enjoy the game, everyone. Go Bucks. Bucks in 6. I'm not even going to end today with a Go Pack Go. I'm ending today with a Bucks in 6. I'll see you tomorrow.